My name is Sabrina Smith and I would like to welcome you all. Today we are joined by Sandeep Mukherjee, Director of India, and Diptendu Bhattacharya, Senior Solution Engineer. Before I hand over to our presenters, I wanted to run through some housekeeping. This session is being recorded and we will make it available to you afterwards. I would also like to highlight the Q&A function in the webinar interface. We highly encourage you to use this throughout the session to make it interactive. So should you have any questions, please pop them in the chat. We will then address these towards the end of the webinar in the Q&A section. Here you'll see an overview of the agenda for today. Sandeep will shortly run us through the top 3 reasons leading retailers are moving to distributed order management. He'll then be joined by Diptendu for an informative fireside chat, followed by Q&A. Finally, we will provide details on the upcoming webinar as mentioned. And without further ado, I will hand over to Sandeep.
So hi everyone, welcome to the session. Really appreciate your time amidst your busy schedule. So without any further delay, let me speak through some of the major reasons and factors that why retailers are moving towards adopting a distributed order management, right? This is our observation around the globe, of course, particularly in India. Now, if you see some of the major brands in India, right, like Amazon, Nykaa, or 1mgs, or First Cry, contributing to different sectors of the retail, they are kind of, spoiling the consumers with extremely convenient delivery and pickup experiences, right? For example, Amazon is giving, some hourly based fulfillment option, and that is where the fulfillment, the order fulfillment, which we call it as, has evolved as the most crucial factor in the B2C as well as the B2B business growth. We also saw that this has been substantiated by the e-commerce growth, even post the COVID era, right? So we can already see that there is a 14.2% 2021 continuous growth, right? So this is going hand in hand where customers are opting for more and more, easy and convenient way of delivery as well as pickup. Now that of course has, this change in the customer behavior and expectations and preferences, right? That's induced some of the rapid change in the retail, sector as well as the retail forum. Now, what retailers are today facing the challenge is that if they are moving towards only a technology change, they're not being able to suffice to the customer's expectations, and that is where they are moving towards, the business technology change, so that they can mitigate the gap in the business performance as well as they can meet the customer's demand. And that brings the phenomena of the distributed order management, right? Compared to a traditional order management system, which was quite prevalent before before the era of pandemic, or some of the retailers which were still thinking that a traditional order management where you can just collect the order and you can deliver it in some way to your consumers was sufficient, right? And that brings a very interesting concept of the distributed order management. Let me take you through a little bit of difference between, so that we are on the same page, right? The traditional OMS and the DOM. So till now, what used to happen is that whenever a retailer used to think about, OMS, the retailer used to think about, factors like editing the orders or adding some appeasements to make the customers a little bit happy, right? But in today's world, when the scenarios have been changing extremely fast, the order management system has to cope up with the changing scenarios. And what it needs a configurable order processing as well as an intelligent order routing capabilities. That was absolutely missing in the traditional OMS, right? So I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but these two terms are quite complex to achieve. And that's why even the Forrester's philosophy suggests a distributed order management instead of a traditional OMS. And if you see, it's absolutely matches with the omnichannel fulfillment, expectations from the customer. For example, click and collect, or we call it as buy online, pick up in store, ship from store. Returns, of course, has become, and we will go through in today's session a bit about return. And as I said, you need to have, deliver the order, fulfill the order every time in the right manner, in the efficient way, right? And that is where we talk about that what's actually the different ROI that is being brought by a distributed order management system, because that is where the retailers are looking for. Retailers like yourselves, brand like yourselves are looking for, okay, fine, if I engage a DOM, what are the different ROI that I can expect out of DOM. So to simplify, there of course depending on case to case, there are a lot of ROIs which can be discussed and can be derived. But our observations are these. These are the 7 or 8 ROIs that for which the retailers and the brands are engaging with DOM, right? First of all, it is reducing the cost to serve, and it's helping the brands to deliver it faster, and it has to happen every time. It's not just one time, right? Of course, it helps you to reduce phenomena like cancelled orders and out of stocks. Why? Because DOM helps you to also look into the right position of the inventory at the right point of time, the correct inventory at the right point of time, right? And it also offers a seamless return as part of the process. And it also helps you to make your inventory work much more harder. So at the end of the day, customers visiting you offline or online buys more, and you can say that DOM also helps you to increase your cart conversions. Now, at the end of the day, you have to have the happy customer, right? So DOM eventually helps you to be profitably working in a profitable margin, and also on the other hand, helps to improve the customer experience, right? And that's why we say that DOM is the art and science of business sustainability and profitability, right? Now, talking about the 3 major reasons. The first reason why the retailers are moving towards adopting a DOM is absolutely the reason called accurate inventory availability. That's why the retailers are moving towards adopting a DOM, right? Now, if I see, the current scenario, in the current scenarios, retailers need to fulfill from various channels or various locations. They need to store also inventory data into different systems and into more systems. Of course, pandemic has taught all of us that needs to happen. But at the same time, there are some challenges, right? For example, there have been challenges where retailers, are facing out of stock scenarios, right? The average inventory accuracy is only 63%, as from the desired 95 to 99%. 34% of the business are reportingly, have to return goods which are already sold and not in stock, because this good the accurate inventory information was not there. And you'll be surprised to also hear that the worldwide cost of inventory disruption, which includes shrinkages, overstock, understock, is approximately $1.1 trillion, right? So what's the way going forward then? The answer is very simple. About 72% of the retailers, worldwide retailers, are actually trying to have DOM to have a real-time inventory, right? So that they can reduce the stock out and overstock situation. And that is where the real DOM plays a role, right? So the question is, what role does DOM play? And these are the 3 major roles that DOM plays when it comes to the inventories, right? And order orchestration. A, it connects all the applications around your ecosystem, which are associated with your inventory, locations, customer orders, right? Because it does not act as a master of your inventory, very important to understand that. But rather what it does, it connects all the applications which are associated with your inventories, where the different locations or inventories are being stored or kept. And of course, how those inventories, the location and inventories are being utilized to serve your customer orders, right? That's most important. That's what DOM does. And because it connects to all the mother systems or the source systems of inventory, the DOM has to be referred to as a stock availability of record. It's a single source of truth for your stock availability across your retail supply chain. And third, of course, as I mentioned, because of the Forrester philosophy, a real DOM has to have orchestration capabilities, or we call it as curated process management capabilities across the enterprise. Because the moment the order is being positioned from a customer and to the point it is being delivered or returned and etc., the entire process is managed by the DOM, right? Now, how does DOM do that, right? If you look into this particular slide, it is very easy to understand. On the left hand side, you have your sales channels where you are selling your articles or items, right? Whatever article, items, businesses you are. For example, you have the e-commerce channel, you have the store or the brick and mortar channel, the call center or marketplace, and the channels can be enormous, right? We have just mentioned a couple of few. And the right hand side, you have the distribution channels. These are the channels from where you fulfill them, right? You fulfill them from the warehouses, you fulfill or distribution center, you fulfill the orders from the stores, or you actually even can do a dropship vendor fulfillment, which is becoming very, very prevalent in today's world due to the marketplace advent within India, particularly, right? The dropship vendors based fulfillment is happening, is actually expanding rapidly. And in the middle, actually the DOM sits, right? And DOM helps you in particular areas like the availability. And when I'm talking availability, I'm talking about availability even before the buy button on the e-commerce channel particularly. And DOM helps you in the availability because it gives you, as you saw, it helps you to have the inventory information at the right point of time, almost close to the real time. It helps you with all the order management orchestration capabilities, so that you know automatically that which order needs to be fulfilled from where, whether it's a speed order fulfillment or it's a ship from store, rather than shipping from a warehouse. It helps you to understand that. Of course, it can do it because it gives you a view of a global inventory. Your inventory, generally it's idle, it's lazy, which we call in retail term on a lighter note, right? DOM actually helps it to make it more agile and more speed up, right? And of course, then you have the store fulfillment also from the DOM, which you'll also see, right? Now, we talk about the returns. This has become the customers as it's become a major factor in customers' buying decision today, right? So, for example, 61% shoppers prefer returning still to the store, right? They and it's an ideal scenario because the retailers has got an opportunity to do an upsell and cross sell, right? But again, there are challenges. For example, a report by IHL Group 2020 talks about almost a loss of $600 billion in the return sale. It's also talked about that 30% of the products ordered online were returned, right? They were not being utilized at the customer, right? And apart from that, there are some intangible problems also. For example, there are problems in tracking the returns in the real time. Even there will be some time or already elapsed before even the retailers understand that yes, I am losing a lost part of the revenue, right? And that is where you really need a real DOM to be part of the return, right? You need an omni-channel connected return process, right? And that is exactly what a DOM does. It's again sits in the ecosystem. On the left hand side, you have all the channels from where the returns can come in. And on the right hand side, you have the ecosystem where either the return has to be processed or the inventory position has to be updated, right? On all these systems, so that the inventory is available for again a resell, right? Now, this is it seems to be a quite simple phenomena, but it's actually not. If you see every order which was being part of the sale, that has to be connected to the same process which is now managing the return. And that is why DOM sits in the middle of both. We're positioning an order, or you're positioning, or you're doing a return, right? And so what are the benefits get out of using a DOM when you're talking about a return, right? You basically talk about an automated and an orchestrated return process. It's humanly impossible to get into the each and every nook and corner of return process, and that is where the DOM helps you, right? It helps you to do a system assisted and a human decided kind of or a human intuitive kind of a decision, right? It also helps you to do real time updates of the system, because as I said, on the right hand side you have those inventory systems who needs to be immediately updated as a part of the return, right? And then last but not the least, you have the in-store optimization, right? Now, let us see some statistics. Now, 82% of our customers are actually looking or searching on their phone before they go onto the website, right? Even the baby boomers or the Gen Zers, whatever the consumers generations are, they still prefer the in-store purchases, right? 55% of the customers want to know, even before they are going to the store, that whether the particular article or item he or she is looking for is available in the store or not, right? And again, it involves a lot of systems connectivity. It involves the entire inventory to be available at a single point of time, right? So that is where it comes. Again, DOM plays a role. So what are the different roles that DOM plays? It optimizes, pick and pack, because a real DOM gives you an in-store app, which we call, or you can call an in-store console, to increase your productivity and reduce the training and errors, right? It can help you to pick by order item. It helps you basically to work on a pervasive device and to work on a heterogeneous order pickup. It can also do a lot of prioritization of important customers. And at the end of the day, this kind of a console or in-store app optimize your in-store return processes, right? And you can also have the exception management through this kind of an app, right? Now, if we see the benefits which you get out of these kind of optimize your in-store process is enormous, right? You have the accurate in-store inventory availability so that your in-store associates can help the customers or can service the customers real time. For example, you can deploy a phenomena called endless aisle, for an example. Well, DOM doesn't do the endless aisle, but DOM becomes the backbone for the endless aisle scenario, right? Because again, for endless aisle, you need the actual inventory location and inventory situation where it is. It in post pandemic cases, a lot of your store associates have gone back to their hometown. You have new store associates. You probably didn't have time to train them. An in-store app and an optimized in-store process helps those store associates also to work much better and as pro and as trained, right? And of course, you can enable situations like ship to store, or utilizing your across the store network inventory, which I was mentioning, right? So these are the three reasons why today, the retailers are moving towards adopting a real DOM, right? Now, with that, I think we can move to the Fireside chat.
Hello, Sandeep. That was quite crisp and very, very to the point and very relevant. Really enjoyed. And I mean, inventory availability, inventory/availability, returns, and the in-store experience. The in-store experience of both the associates and the customer. Both coming together is probably the real. The three sort of the mantras that can help a retailer really make money and make his customers happy. The two reasons. I wanted to touch upon a few points, Sandeep. When the while you were discussing, few points came to my mind. When things are going okay, when things are running okay, you are optimizing things, you're changing your product mix, you're doing a lot of customer research, further enhancing your offerings and so on, then it's fine. And you can do a sort of a gradual change. But COVID comes in. Overnight things change. You had people coming in and buying from your stores. You have to now shut down your stores. Overnight go into pure e-commerce mode. You have to shut down your physical stores. What do you do? And you don't even have time to move the inventory that's lying there in your stores.
Right.
You have to convert them overnight into something which we have now come to know as dark stores. That is, the lights are off, but inventory is lying there and you want to use it. Now, and also now that the pandemic is sort of receding, fingers crossed, customers are now, asking for a hybrid model where, you're showing both. Now, in this kind of a scenario, where, the things, the laws, the rules, everything change overnight and they again change back, how can a DOM help? So I would like to get your views here, Sandeep.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting point, Diptandu. And I think we all agree with that, right? Actually, today is a time where no rule is a rule.
Yeah.
Right? No rule is a rule. That's what we are living. I believe the examples which you gave, is best addressed by something called flexibility, right? So even if you follow the old Darwin's theory, it says that it's not the strongest or it's not the biggest that survive, but it's the agile or adaptive to change, right, that to survive. And
Absolutely.
I think Jurassic Park movie has been an eye opener for all of us, where a dinosaur was created from a mosquito's blood, right? So the mosquito actually survived from Dinosaurus age till today, and Dinosaurus has got extinct, right? That's a proof in the pudding. So now coming to DOM, I think a real DOM, the architecture of a real DOM has to support that flexibility, right? Of course, there have been technologies in the market which can do it, but I believe that the key thing is flexibility. So, for example, if a DOM is being honestly speaking, on a slightly technical level, if a DOM has been, the engine has been hard coded, right, then that's absolutely not acceptable in today's world, in today's changing world. They were absolutely fine, probably a few years back when there was, as you rightly said, there was monolithic rules or static rules, and you probably needed to not to change rules in years, right? And your operation was absolutely fine. But in today's world, the customers are so connected, the customers are so demanding, and of course, pandemic has made them more, and they had to be more innovative in terms of shopping or in terms of order fulfillment. So the retailers also have to cope up. So the first thing which you need in a DOM is flexibility. Now that flexibility can come in terms of coding at a level, coding or architecture, or the way you arrange your DOM components to work together, right? So that is absolutely essential. If a DOM is flexible enough, then it plays a major role. For example, if you're taking a store to a dark store, right? What you are doing probably you are serving some pin codes from that store.
Right. Yeah.
But now today that store has gone to a dark store. That means you cannot send a person from there, right? So for example, a BOPIS model, buy online, pick up in store, right? Pick and collect model. But if you have the flexibility in the DOM to change, because you remember I was mentioning about orchestration in the DOM, right? So earlier the orchestration rule must be pointing to that store inventory. If someone was saying, or Sandeep was saying, okay, I live in an area that is serviced by that store, so Sandeep is automatically routed to that store. Or Sandeep was saying, I'll pick up from that store. Now it's not happening. But still, how can you utilize the inventory of the store, probably to service it to Sandeep's home? Now, if you see, this is a major change from a DOM's perspective, from a retailer's perspective. It's a major change in the rule or the way the process was working, right? So that is, the DOM needs to support that. And if DOM supports it, DOM can definitely play a major role over there.
Yeah, similar situation like, today my store is up and running, people are walking in, so I'm going to prioritize them. Why? Because my in-store customer usually takes precedence over my online deliveries and so on. Suddenly the shop gets shut down, and also my logistics partner doesn't have the flexibility to start picking up from this particular store. Maybe he doesn't have people, he doesn't have that set up in his system, whatever it might be.
Right.
So maybe instead of delivering from this store directly to the customer for home delivery orders, so a customer staying nearby says, I want it to be delivered to my home, and I deliver from this particular store, I could probably do an inter-store transfer kind of thing. So there is some other store where the fulfillment thing is, because of bulk or whatever reason, the fulfillment is happening from that, say, a nodal store and or a nodal warehouse or whatever it might be. So that fulfillment can be routed. So the inter-store transfer, that flexibility can also be enabled if we have if the DOM that we are using has that kind of flexibility already. And you hit the nail on the head where we cannot make these rules and make them stable and static.
Absolutely.
These would need to keep changing. I mean, the flexibility is, for example, I am saying today I am saying that because of logistic reasons, I want a customer orders 3 items and 2 are available in this store, the third is available in the other store.
Right.
I need to have the flexibility to decide whether I will do an assortment in one particular store and then take them all together and ship it together to the customer if I have that much time and flexibility, or if it's an urgent order, ship 2 from here to the customer, ship the third from there, the customer gets 2 parcels, but that's fine, he gets it on time. Or
Absolutely.
I say that, boss, I want my inventory to get over in a proper manner. In that case, pick up either all 3 from this store or move to the next store, pick up all three. If all three are not available, move to the third store. After the third hop, stop hopping, come back to this model. All these kind of various orchestrations, which you rightly said is part of flexibility, is something that we need to enable, and that's what I feel that a true DOM should be able to do.
Yeah, absolutely right, Diptendu. So whatever we just mentioned
Yeah.
are all my business aspirations, right?
Yes.
Or my business requirements, either of them, right? Other aspiration or requirement, right? At the same time, my technology should be capable of servicing that. It should be able to fulfill my either my aspirations or my need, right?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
is where a true DOM can help and should help, right? In fact, when we're talking about flexibility, there might be again two categories of it. For example, one might be talking about on a real code level change, and how soon you can, a low code kind of a concept,
Mm.
right? Or you talk about simple configuration, right?
Yes.
Can a DOM abstract that layer? I think those questions the retailers need to ask, themselves before selecting a DOM or before adopting a DOM strategy, right? That for example, do I really have the detailed technical team who can actually go even on a low code or a no code kind of a scenario, or I will rather have a DOM strategy where I can do it just some click of mouses in terms of.
That's a very relevant point that Sandeep was making. See, there is a uh, very important point that Sandeep has touched upon: low code and the concept of coding itself. Look, I am a retailer. I don't want to become an IT company. I want to stay as a business. So in that kind of a scenario, if I'm going to have to decide, IT should be an enabler for me and not a roadblock where I'm saying, oh my God, if I want to make this particular change in the rule or the way I'm doing business, I will have to call in my IT partner, or I will have to keep an in-house IT team. They will have to make changes at the code level. They will need to be tested, and all those kind of things will have to be done. Then I think we are moving to a different business. So that is what a DOM primarily needs to do, and that is to sort of enable these process changes sort of on the fly with a very low code, no code approach, without sort of like the business IT user should be able to do it. So that is what I feel. Sandeep, welcome back. Hope that's what you were also saying, right?
Yeah, I think I was referring to the same thing. Absolutely correct. I was referring to the
Yeah.
same. So you were right on the point, right? Now,
Yeah.
what have you noticed very recently? That people are complaining about their promise to for the delivery. Have you noticed?
Yes. So that brings me to an interesting point. So I have my elder son is 14 years old. Okay,
Uh-huh.
and
Mhm.
right from childhood, we have noticed one very important point. He is not very demanding. He will not if he asks for something and you say no, he will not keep on asking for it. But if you once say that, son, I will get this for you, and then if you don't keep that promise, God help you. So and this is very typical of today's customers also, Sandeep, that uh, you know if you make a promise, any promise you make,
Right.
think 20 times before you're making the promise. But once you have made it, you better keep it. You change your promise, you break your promise, and the customer will hold that against you, even if you have given them the product for free, you have made up to him, apologized on social media, whatever you do, because the retailer's relationship with his customer starts and ends with a promise, and that is the promise, is that link that binds you together: the promise of the brand, the promise of the product, promise of delivery, fulfillment, price, quality, everything. That promise has to be kept, and I feel, Sandeep, that a DOM plays a very crucial role in helping the retailer keep this particular promise.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah.
I agree with you completely. I think, for example, Amazon has spoiled the Indian users quite a lot, right? If you
Yeah.
see any kind of, when you go and try to order something in Amazon.in, even before the buy button, right, you exactly know that when your product will be delivered. In fact,
Yes.
they use a very nice trick where they actually, kind of under promise and over perform. They will say you'll get it by Friday, and actually you get it by Wednesday, right?
Yes. Yes. Regularly, almost.
Regularly, right? So
Mm.
they are aware that they can deliver it by Wednesday, but I think they purposely say that, that while deliver it by Friday. Now, if you see what's happening, on the background is, the DOM is playing a major role, right? I'm sure retailer or marketplace like Amazon has already understood the trick, and they have invested in the right DOM technology, right? Either homegrown or off the shelf technologies. That depends, of course, on the brand that they're trying to utilize the DOM for. Now they are, I think, utilizing these aspects of inventory, as you rightly said, right? So that the right products are available at the right point of time, and the whatever they deliver or the promise to deliver is actually that promise is kept, right? So I think that is what a DOM should play a major role, a vital role over there.
Yeah. So one point here, sorry to interrupt you, Sandeep. You touched upon a very important point, the word inventory. Now, to
Mhm.
keep the promise every time, one way is to throw a huge amount of inventory at the system. So you ask me for it, all SKUs, all everything. I have a huge inventory and I have got 20 pieces available anywhere, anytime, anywhere you want, I will give it to you. But that simply doesn't make business sense, because then your working capital cost is going to go so
Absolutely.
high, you won't be able to. So you have to make your inventory work smart and work hard. So where does it start? So first, when you are, the customer first starts choosing, when does his journey start? He starts choosing or selecting a product. Now, when at that shortlisting stage itself, before he says buy, there has to be an availability check where in real time, our, the system, the front end system, e-commerce
Mhm.
system, or the in-store associate should be able to check and say that this particular product, this size, this color, this particular stock keeping unit is actually available. The first thing is it is available. The second question is it is available. Where is it available? Okay. So,
Right.
so suppose I say that I want to buy online and pick up in store. Which store is nearest to me? Is it available at my nearest store? If it is available not at my nearest, the second nearest. If it is not, if it is the second nearest and it is not convenient to me, and I say I cannot pick up but I want to buy from that store, can you deliver it to me? Then by when will it be delivered? So what is available, where is it available, and when is it available?
Right.
And then when finally you say that you come to the store and pick up, and it is available and it has been reserved for you, and by today 4 p.m. you can come and pick it up. When I reach there at 4 p.m., the store associate should be enabled by the DOM to actually go and pick up that exact item, my thing, and give it to me, so that I get it. So I think this whole with the customer journey, there is also something called as the promise journey, and so they sort of walk together side by side. So this promise journey also needs to happen smoothly. This is a very important point, Sandeep. Thanks for bringing this up.
No, I think you have also mentioned very three important points, very simple language. Where, what, and when, right? What,
Yes,
where, and
yes.
when. So, and I completely agree, and that was my point. If you see, most of the retailers try to address it all of a sudden, the upsurge in the demand by
Mm.
overstocking. If you were mentioning, was basically in terms of inventories overstocking, right? But
Yes,
let
yes.
us not
Overstock.
let us not forget. But let us not forget that in certain industries, like fashion, for an example, right, or in luxury, for example, there is a percentage of shrinkage also, right, in the
Oh,
inventory,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So that is also your cost, right? Your cost for
Mm.
operation, and as you rightly said, your capital cost has been already hold up, right? So it is a time, and So what is the mantra or what is the magic to this solution? It's very simple. You need to have your inventory information close to the real time at the at the
Yes.
at the brisk of your fingers, right? So that is
Mm.
what you need to have, and that is again where the DOM, and that is what I was trying to mention when I was going through the inaccurate inventory visibility, right? That is what the DOM plays a role, correct?
Yeah.
Now, of course, along with that comes the in-store phenomena, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Now, this in-store phenomenon you also touched. As we all know, the pandemic has sort of shown us a lot of colors, and you touched upon a very important point of a sort of like a skill gap,
Correct.
where you say, lot of people have migrated back to their native places, and once they have reached there, many haven't come back, and the new in-store guys who are being now recruited, many of them do not have that kind of detailed knowledge, background, training, experience, and so on. So uh, I have seen, and in my recent, of course, I have been very eager to go to the stores and start buying things, and you ask them, uh, show me this particular size or this particular thing, this shirt looks good, you're showing it in 42, I want, do you have it in 40? I don't see it stocked here anywhere. Do you have it in your stock in at the back? And these people will immediately say, sorry, it's not available, or something like that. So uh, and then when I go and again press somebody more senior there and say, can you please check? They will go and check and they will find it out. This has happened to me 2 to 3 times in the past few
Agreed.
months. So,
Agreed.
and I could sense that the guy at the front who sort of said no to me was he didn't have the means or the training to actually go and search for it. So I'm sure DOM can also help in this kind of a scenario, Sandeep.
Right. I agree. I agree. Again, if you see, there are two dynamics to this challenge, or two angles to this challenge. One is, as you rightly said, whether the store associate is being trained or not, right?
Yeah.
But let's take your example. When you have gone to a store associate asking for 42 and 40, and probably you are telling him, look, I have a flight to catch, right?
Mm,
Probably you're buying
mm,
the shirt. You have compressed for time, right? The store associate has to respond to you with agility, with speed. It's not only about knowledge,
yes.
right? Even I'm a trained store associate, Diptendu, I cannot reply to you with an agility if I don't have the information on hand. And that is where a true DOM always has a very convenient, I would not say the robust, but convenient in-store app kind of a feature, which will help Sandeep as a store associate to immediately on a handheld device to immediately browse through and tell Diptendu that, sir, it's available in our store or not, or if it's not
Mm,
available in our store, where is it available? Or, for example, you are flying from Delhi to Mumbai, and which hotel said you will be, staying, and we can deliver this shirt to you.
yes.
I
Yes.
have done this, with Shopper Stop. I have done this, by the way, in my life,
Mm,
right?
mm,
I have done that at Changi Airport in Singapore. Also, have done this, right?
mm,
So they delivered it to my Singapore hotel. So I have experienced this. So retailers are doing it. The question is again how they're doing it, how
mm.
much cost they have incurred to do it, right? And that is where a DOM plays a major role. See, I always say this, Ipten, in technology world, anything and everything is possible. The question is
Yes.
how you are making it possible.
Mm,
If you
mm.
deploy a right DOM, then of course you are there, right? So I think that can definitely help you to overcome these challenges and problems.
Yeah, and this topic you touched about, where is it available? So for you, you
Mhm.
are in one store, and then you can go and get it sourced from some another store. So these kind of things, uh, they this kind of flexibility where the store in store, I'm sitting in my store, I know what is available. Maybe I'm aware of what's available in my own store, but now if I want to find out what's available somewhere else, in a non technology kind of scenario, the only way I can do is call up the other store guy, assuming that I know his number and assuming he's a friend of mine and he's good enough to humor me while at the same time he's serving his customers in his store. Then he goes to his warehouse and finds out whether this particular piece is available. That is absolutely crazy. That's not the way things are expected to function.
Absolutely.
So it should
Absolutely.
not be people dependent. These it has to be system dependent. It has to be
Absolutely.
very intuitive that these things keep happening, and so
Correct.
that's the so it's a very uh, it's a very good point that you have brought up.
Yeah. Anyways, today's world we're talking about AI, right?
Yeah,
It is system driven and human assisted. It has opposite, right? Earlier used to be the days where it was supported by the system and decided by the human being. Now it's decided by the system and supported by the human being, right? And
yes,
I think that's where DOM can, a real true DOM can take the retailer in a much more Now in the interest of time, I'm just thinking if we can move to the Q&A.
sure.
Sabina, over to you for the Q&A.
Of course, yeah, great chat between you both there. Thank you. We have had a couple in. The first one, Diptendo, I don't know if you've got a point of view on this. Given that returns impose high costs on retailers, how can this cost be reduced?
Very, very interesting question. Yes, it's sort of like a necessary evil for retailers that you have to have you have to humor returns, because if you say that no return policy, then the customer is not going to come to you, and it was 20-30 years ago when people used to have a no return policy. Now it is, you have to humor the customer. Yes, there are very high costs that uh, the return process puts on the retailer. uh, for example, the cost of picking it up, the cost of again examining whether the product is usable or not, then ensuring that the customer is getting his money back or an exchange. All these kinds of things, you have to do it. Of course, the answer is to smartly automate it. So the high cost of return is primarily because the logistic cost. If the return is mono channel, where you're not giving the customer the option of omni-channel. So only if you're going to have online returns only via online, then you have a double courier kind of a cost. And you're making the customer happy. So the unhappy, sorry. So that is the double cost. And then the time taken to bring it to inventory, the pain of return. Many times the customer, if the return process is painful, he will think twice about buying it. So if you're discouraging buyers, then there is an opportunity cost. Now, if you can make the return process as painless as possible for the customers, then you would have the customer buying more from you, not only initially but also during the return process. So if you so let us take a scenario: a customer has bought something online, it has delivered, he tries it out. Let us say it's a piece of clothing. He tries it out and it doesn't fit or he doesn't like it. He wants to return it, but he wants to come and return it in store. So it's buy online, return in store. When this person comes into uh, the store, the DOM can ensure that the order details of this particular article and the fact that he's coming to the store to exchange or return or exchange are all given in time to the in-store associate. The customer walks in, he says, I want to return this. The details are checked. Sure, we will take it. Would you like to see something else? The customer sees something else. His the order details are already there in the POS. The exchange is initiated through the POS, and the customer walks away happy. So this is where, because the DOM is orchestrating the entire order process and has all the order details and can bring, because it is distributed, it can distribute the order details from any channel to any channel. That is where a true DOM can help drastically reduce the cost of uh, returns for the retailer, as well as the pain of returns for the customer. I hope I've been able to answer it.
You absolutely have. And I can say as well, from a personal shopping perspective, I always look to shop with the retailers that offer me the most flexibility. If I can't return it in store, or there's an awkward online return process, I'm slightly off put in returning back to them. So you're certainly right there. Another question that's come through, Sandeep, I don't know if you have a perspective on this one. What role does a store play in converting returns from a bane to a boon, and how does DOM help there?
Yeah, interesting one. I think Dityendu answered part of it already. But again, if I'm a retailer, the first thing I think what I need to focus on is to make my return process an happy experience for my customer. Because if, like yourself, Sabrina, you mentioned your own experience, right? When you go to the shop and you have a very smooth, seamless experience, you just arrive with your item to be returned, no question asked. They do a barcode scanning and all the details pop up, just like a magical wand. And you are surprised. You will be surprised, and you are surprised with the store associate saying that, when did you buy it, ma'am? And how was your buying experience? Little bit of feedback, why are you returning it? And by the time, if they are able to do it, generally, if you have seen, they have a separate return counter, which they kind of, to lower the cost, not to eat up the merchandising space, they do it slightly on the back door. But the main reason, what I have observed, is that the application, whatever they're using, is a very stationed device or a stationed application. Instead of that, if a retailer invests, in a true DOM, which is having a true DOM, which is having an in-store app capable of handling the return also, and that can be based on a handheld device or pervasive device, then Sabrina as a customer can be attended near an aisle, with, let's say, with a Friday evening dress, the aisle with a Friday evening dress. And while the store associate is actually doing the return process, Sabrina has a chance to look into those dresses, right? So seeing is believing, and what you see is what you buy, right? It's very simple. So you have a chance, as a retailer, you have a chance that, yes, Sabrina has a window in front of her eyes, time as well as a visual window to look into the dress if the return is happening on a handheld device. And that's where DOM plays a major role, because a true DOM will always provide a retailer with that kind of a facility. The second thing, which I believe we need to also understand, a return means a lot of connection to the third-party systems or third-party players. Dityendu spoke about a scenario where I bought something from in-store and I want to return it from home. Now, of course, retailers will deploy a third party to do that. And if retailer has to do a third party, a person arrives with, again, a handheld device, a small device saying the return. As soon as he clicks the button, that information needs to be captured by the DOM immediately. So there has to be a seamless integration between these two. The DOM belongs or owned by the retailer. The third party system, where at the doorstep of Sandeep, is not owned by the retailer. So there is a system to system connectivity. So I believe a true DOM helps you on that seamless connectivity. And along with that, of course, factors which we spoke about, for example, the knowledge of the store associate, the ease of doing it, the availability of the information, etc., right, which a true DOM plays. All these three can only then turn a situation from bane to boon, because return has become a cost center for any retailer. If I'm a retailer, I know that return is a cost center for me. So I need to find out a true DOM's capabilities to take that opportunity when Sabrina is there with me for the return, to get her, motivated to purchase something out of my store, so that my return cost, if not completely, is partially recovered.
Yep, very valid points. And a final question that we've had through here: brands present on marketplaces often face competition there from white labels and other low-cost brands. How can a retailer coexist and still differentiate the brand without increasing their costs?
I think I would have Dityendu taken that.
Yes, this is a very real scenario, slightly political, because the brand wants to leverage the marketplace. At the same time, it doesn't want to face competition from the marketplace, but the marketplace itself by definition is a competitive place. I mean, So you have to differentiate yourself, your brand, and there are various ways you can do that. The one is by the product. You see, the branding, the pricing, you cannot have differently. Your logo, your branding, the same. It'll have to be same in the marketplace as well as in your own real estate, like your own e-commerce store or your own physical store. You cannot have that different, because then the marketplace won't like it. Prices, you cannot give special discounts, because that also will create issues. So what is, how can you differentiate? So the mix, the product mix that you have uh, in your own presence and in the marketplace, you could probably differentiate it. So which means, for example, you have certain exclusive SKUs, certain exclusive items that you offer only in your own, so available only in store. For various reasons, you can say it. Oh, these are I've just brought them out new. I don't want to launch them widely right now. So you can have that, and that could be for a certain limited period of time. Then you say that okay, this particular combination of products, so sort of like a product assortment, is available in a certain location. Now it is easier said than done. If you are so you have a product catalog or a inventory catalog, and if you are going to expose it to the marketplace and to your e-commerce website, your own e-commerce website and everywhere, then everything is available everywhere. How do you prevent it? If you shut it off, it gets shut off everywhere. So, there is a concept called as the virtual catalog, where you are creating, the core inventory is the same. You could have it in different locations, but out of that core inventory, you reserve a certain set of items and quantities for your marketplace one. You could have a similar, slightly different catalog for marketplace two if you're listed on different marketplaces. So an upmarket marketplace could have the high priced ones position, and a more economical one could have the medium priced ones position. Your stores could have the highest price ones and the latest ones that are launched in your store, which are only available in store. And so you have a store catalog, you have a e-commerce catalog, you have uh, e-commerce catalog, a marketplace catalog, and so on, and they sort of overlap. So there are certain, so the overall inventory that you're going to hold is not going to be four times. You have four different catalogs, and it's not going to be four times. It will be a certain percentage higher, but it will certainly not be. So the inventory catalog carrying cost doesn't shoot up. However, using these virtual catalogs where each catalog is exposed to a certain channel only helps you differentiate your brand on against the competition. It helps you differentiate your in-store experience with the competition, and so on. I hope that sort of answered the question.
It does very nicely. Let me just check. I think we have addressed all of the questions for now. So Sandeep, we can move forward to the upcoming webinar in April as well.
Yeah, sure, Sabrina. So, to all the brand members who have joined our session, happy to share that we were having an upcoming webinar, which will be based on the inventory visibility and accuracy, and what is the role that an order management plays. That's coming on Wednesday, the 13th of April, 3 to 4 p.m. the same time today we had. And interestingly, it will be, the session will be held by our Chief Strategy Officer, Jamie Clems. Jamie is quite a veteran in the industry of retail, and he has got enormous experience around the world. So we'll be extremely glad to host him for this particular webinar, and we'll be also with Ankit, who is our senior technical consultant. I'm sure you will find a lot of value. Today we have covered, I would say, the tip of the iceberg, and I believe there's a lot of chance and probability to dwell into the details. And I would really encourage you and suggest you to join this webinar on 13th of April, right? This is moving on. These are our contact details. I would leave it for some time on the screen so that you can note it down. Please feel free to reach out to either me or Diptendu. And of course, we have been supported extremely well by Sabrina, though Sabrina is right now based out of UK. We work as a very close team. So we'll be happy to answer any kind of queries, any suggestions that you might need from us, and we would be there. And of course, we have a much larger team, at our background, right? With a Fluent worldwide team of experts, SMEs, product technicians, everyone, right? I'm sure we'll be able to add a lot of value to your ideas and how you can make those ideas in reality, right? With that, I would like to thank all of you. Sabrina, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Sandeep, and thank you, Diptendu, as well, both of you, for the super informative chat. It was a really interesting session.